very excited to introduce our performers tonight. But first, let me just say a few words about the Friends of Maple Grove. My name is Helen Day, and I'm Vice President of the Friends of Maple Grove. We're the volunteer organization that set up the concerts, the art gallery, the workshops, and other events that we hold throughout the year at Maple Grove. We appreciate membership. It gives us some money to support what we do. We do everything here on a shoestring budget, and we do get some money from grants as well. But your help is also instrumental in allowing us to provide free events such as this. So we thank you in advance for your support. We also dedicate every event that we hold here to someone who is buried at the cemetery. We do a lot of research here to find out about the 117,000 people that we have behind us. The cemetery is 65 acres. It's 149 years old. So that means next year we're going to celebrate our 150th anniversary. So we know who the first burial was, and we're trying to find all of those people in between then and now and tell their stories at least a little bit to remember them. So today we have dedicated this event to Paul Alvin Gerber. He lived from 1893 to 1969. He was a musician and a theatrical scenic artist as well. And he's buried here at Maple Grove, I believe, with some other family members. So, as I said, we do dedicate every event to someone else, someone who is buried here at Maple Grove. We have a lot of events this month. I think this is the second of about 10 events. So take a look at our calendar. We have copies of the flyers downstairs that you can photograph, or there's a list of events that you can take a copy of while they're still here. So we welcome you to come back, and we hope that you enjoy the program today. And we'll have a reception afterwards. It'll be downstairs, so you can see the artwork for our latest exhibit. And also, a few pieces are still left from October's exhibit, so you get to see a little bit of both. And these will be gone after another week. So it's an ever-changing exhibit. We highlight about one or two artists every month. And they're local artists. Some of them have never exhibited before. So you're in for a treat to see their work. There are a lot of very talented people here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce 8 Strings and a Whistle. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you. We're so excited to be here in this beautiful space. I have to say I grew up in Rego Park, so not too far from here, and I'm always excited to see things actually happening in Queens, and that you don't have to schlep all over, even though now I live in Manhattan, I know. So I understand you guys do not have programs today, so we're going to tell you a little bit about each of the pieces. The first one we're starting with is actually the only piece we're playing by someone who is no longer alive, which seems appropriate for a cemetery, so we go with that. And that is by Johann Gottlieb Graun. It's one of his trio sonatas that actually was written for this combination of flute, viola, and cello. It's kind of an unusual combination, but even back then, a couple of composers had the foresight to see what a good combination it was. And it is in 3 movements, an affectioso, which you can decide what that actually means, an allegretto, and a, what is it? The last one's also allegro. So a lot of fast, affectionate, and then fast and more fast.
completely different in a moment. I just wanted to add a little bit about Johann Gottlieb Graun. He worked in the court of Frederick the Great. So Frederick the Great was a huge, huge supporter of the arts, among other things, and he surrounded himself. He was also an amateur flutist, I should add that, composer.
Therefore, a great person.
Therefore, a great person, yes. But he surrounded himself with really the most wonderful, best musicians of the world.
Best you could buy.
The best you could buy. The best you could buy, yes. Including C.P.E. Bach, who's the son of J.S. Bach, and Johann Joachim Quantz, who, those of you who are flute players in here will probably know who that is. He's the king of Baroque flute playing. So he's written treatises that we still read today about ornamentation. Even non-flute players read about him, read his work. Johann Joachim Quantz was Frederick the Great's flute teacher. He was in the court at the same time that Graun was there, that C.P.E. Bach was there. So you can just sort of imagine them all having a big party. And just having a great time playing together and just feeding off of each other's expertise on beautiful playing. So next, we have another composer who is very young. She is a student at San Francisco Conservatory. She's, I think, in her junior year.
She just started her junior.
She just started her junior. She's an extremely gifted, just like Graun, composer. Every year, I stand corrected. Every 2 years, we hold a composer competition, and Zoe is the winner of this year's competition. Her name is Zoe Yost. This work is called A Midsummer's Daydream. It is through composed, one piece of music. She tells me that the ideas for this piece came one sleepless night. She's also a violist, extraordinary violist. This is a young woman that I've gotten to know a little bit online. We've been emailing back and forth, and I interviewed her for our website. You should look at it.
I really highly recommend it. It's a really, I mean, not to tout our own horn, but our Suzanne's interviews with our various composers who've won competitions with us, and also some of the other composers who've written for us, they really are excellent. They're fun reads, and they're really in depth, and not in depth in a way that if you're not a musician that you wouldn't understand it. Just talking about their art and how they view things. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, the idea is to give anybody a better understanding of what that particular composer is seeking to do, what they believe in, what their musical language is. And also, it's a way to support contemporary music, which is something that we very much believe in. So Zoe talks, she's really like an all-around amazing human being. I mean, just her sense of responsibility as a citizen is just incredible. So in addition to composing and playing viola, she's also an author, she's a published poet, she is, I don't know what she doesn't do. Let me put it that way. She's wise beyond her years, that's all I mean, I've learned a lot just from talking to her. So here we go, Midsummer's Daydream.
Stanley Grill, we met in 1990 something. It's been that long, last century. It's sort of the wonderful thing about collaborating with living exposures is that you form these friendships that last past just the concert tape. And this piece, The Whir of Wings, well, it's always a good idea when you have the composer with you to assume that the composer knows more about the piece than you do. And Stanley is here to join us, not only to tell you all about the piece, but also the Whir of Wings has poetry which Stanley will be reading interspersed between the movements.
Thank you. Thank you for the pleasure to be here on this lovely day in this lovely spot. And looking out the window brings us to the theme of this music. The Whir of Wings was originally composed for an Earth Day concert in support of the environment, and was for chorus and these three instruments, singing poems about the beauty of the earth and also about what we face if we don't do something about climate change. And that concert was supposed to take place on Earth Day 2020. Oh yeah, COVID. And the concert never took place. The chorus didn't survive. And eventually
they didn't all die of COVID. They survived humanly. The chorus itself.
Yes, as an organization, as a chorus. But I decided later on to take music from the choral work and convert it into a suite for these three instruments. And since then, 8 strings and a whistle has been playing it on numerous occasions, and it's been wonderful. So the first poem from which the title of the music is derived is by Lola Ridge, and it is titled Interim. The earth is motionless and poised in space. A great bird resting in its flight between the alleys of the stars. It is the wind's hour off. The wind has nestled down among the corn. The two speak privately together, awaiting the whir of wings. This poem is by another American poet, Jane Hirschfield, and it's called Let Them Not Say. Let them not say we did not see it. We saw it. Let them not say we did not hear it. We heard. Let them not say they did not taste it. We ate, we trembled. Let them not say it was not spoken, not written. We spoke, we witnessed with voices and hands. Let them not say they did nothing. We did not enough. Let them say, as they must say something, a kerosene beauty, it burned. Let them say we warmed ourselves by it, read by its light, praised, and it burned. Earth, Your Dancing Place by Mae Swenson. Beneath heaven's vault, remember always walking through halls of cloud, down aisles of sunlight, or through high hedges of the green rain. Walk in the world, high-heeled with swirl of cape, hand at the sword hilt of your pride. Keep a tall throat, remain aghast at life. Enter each day as upon a stage, lighted and waiting for your step. Crave upward as flame, have keenness in the nostril. Give your eyes to agony or rapture. Train your hands as birds to be brooding or nimble. Move your body as the horses sweeping on slender hooves over crag and prairie with fleeing manes and aloofness of their limbs. Take earth for your own large room, and the floor of the earth carpeted with sunlight and hung round with silver wind for your dancing place. Remember by Joy Harjo, a Native American poet and a former U.S. poet laureate. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life, and her mother's, and hers. Remember your father, he is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, and animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember you are all people, and all people are you. Remember you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember.
version of it with a chorus. Hopefully.
Working on it.
Working on it. We're a little worried that if we schedule it, there'll be another pandemic, but that's, we're always so happy. Before we play our final piece, I just want to again thank you guys for coming today. If you have enjoyed what you've heard, you can find out more about us on our exciting website, because I know everyone has a website.
Oh,
Ours is
easy.
You can read the interviews, hstringsandwhistle.com. We're also going to be playing this program again, plus a couple of extra things in Manhattan on November 22nd. That's the Friday before Thanksgiving. So you can find out about that there too. I actually have little flyers if you want that too. And we'd love to see you again. Our final piece is by a composer who is alive. We've never actually gotten to meet him, even on Zoom, but we have emailed with him many times. His name is Robert Davidson, and he's from Australia. And I came to find out about Robert Davidson through my students. I had found a piece of his online for two viola groups and fugue with a ground bass. And the piece was called Message Ground. And he had written in his program notes for it that it was based on a song from his childhood. And I had just always figured it was like an Australian folk song that he loved. And then Matt and I were out for brunch one day, and in the restaurant they were playing music, and it was
from the police.
It was the police.
The police message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle. And
The bass line for that was
the ground bass, which Matt had recorded for me to use with my students. So I was like, this guy's got a sense of humor. We got to find him. And he actually had it in a previous piece that we played that was originally written for clarinet, viola, and cello. And with his permission, he actually retooled it for us, called Conversations, which was based on all his travels. Robert Davidson is a contrabass player and a widely traveled human, and he's been here, but he's also been to India. He's been all over, and you can see some of those influences in his piece. But then one day in our email, this piece called Bond Over Triads, I keep wanting to say Bond Over Trios, Bond Over Triads, showed up as a gift that he wrote specifically for us, and this is how we'd like to close the program.